Edward Snowden, obviously the talk of the town. So I tell you what, let's bring in our very own Chief Washington correspondent, Peter Cook, with the Washington angle on exactly what's happening. Peter, what can you tell us?
Well, a tense situation, of course, between the United States and Russia over this. A spokesman for Russian President Vladimir Putin repeated Russia's offer to allow Snowden to stay in Russia as long as he stops doing harm to the United States. The spokesman said he was not aware of Snowden's latest asylum request. Now, this all came about as journalists swarmed the Moscow airport today, where Snowden has been holed up since June 23rd as he met with human rights activists behind closed doors for about an hour or so. Photos of that meeting were released, as was a statement in which Snowden accuses the U.S. of unlawfully blocking his bid for asylum. Snowden says in that statement, "I announced today my formal acceptance of all offers of support or asylum. I've been extended and all others that may be offered in the future. I will be submitting my request to Russia today and hope it will be accepted favorably." Now, Snowden also expresses absolutely no regrets for his leaks on U.S. government surveillance programs, adding in that statement, "I took what I knew to the public, so what affects all of us can be discussed by all of us in the light of day. And I ask the world for justice. That moral decision to tell the public about spying that affects all of us has been costly, but it was the right thing to do, and I have no regrets." Now, again, the next move really, Adam, is in the Russians' hands. But Snowden indicated in his statement today he would like to eventually seek asylum somewhere else, so it could be a temporary stay he's seeking in Russia. Again, tension, Alex, between the U.S. and Russia over this. Just yesterday, the president said he would express disappointment to Chinese officials who were here in Washington about how they handled the Snowden situation. You can imagine that was a message just as much aimed at the Russians right now.
Peter, at what point, though, does Snowden get stuck? I mean, he still doesn't have a travel document, so it doesn't really matter where he wants asylum. He has to actually get a document to get there.
Well, if he's granted asylum by the Russians, then he would have at least a temporary home or perhaps a permanent home should he choose to stay there. So that is one of the question marks. If he's granted asylum, he can enter Russia. But again, they haven't acted specifically on that request.
All right, Peter. And also, you know, there's been more debate back in the U.S. over the surveillance programs. What can you tell us about that?
That's what's happening back here at home as well. And some news on that front. I just sat down for Capital Gains airing on Sunday with Senator Ron Wyden. He's one of the few in Congress over the last few years raising concerns about these surveillance programs. He's a member of the Intelligence Committee. He was talking about this before Snowden ever went public. He says elected officials, not Snowden, should have started this debate in the U.S. But the Intelligence Committee member says he now sees support growing in Congress to make sensible reforms. Take a listen.
What I'm especially pleased about is 26 United States senators, that's a quarter of the Senate, have now joined in sending a very strong letter to the intelligence community so that we can get the facts and start having a real debate with the American people and show, in particular, that security and liberty are not mutually exclusive.
And Alex, the area that he'd like to address most directly, the collection of Americans' phone records. He says it goes too far. He would like to see it scaled back. That's one thing Ron Wyden's working on right now.